Hey, happy Sunday night, y'all. Glad you're here.
Happy Sundays at 6.
Yeah.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I celebrate recovery from the grief of a divorce, poor relationship choices, and the consequences of those choices. Still struggle with not being able to control anything in this 2020 year, except that I can wear a mask. That's my choice.
You can wear a mask?
Yeah.
You're good at wearing a mask.
Also, choosing to eat things. My name is Angela. My name is Angela.
Hi,
I'm
Angela,
straight out of
welcome.
denial.
Welcome.
I'm not wearing masks anymore because I'm straight out of denial.
And I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. I struggle with drugs, alcohol, lust, and food issues. Whew. And my name is Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Hey.
Welcome to Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church, online expression of our service, Sundays at 6, where we have been since sometime late March, coming to you out of our upstairs extra room that we've turned into a studio. So we can try to bring our community together every week. We miss our forever family, and this is a way that we can just say hi and give people an opportunity to say hi to each other as well. Remember that this online version is not completely anonymous, so if you are watching, sometimes people can see that. If you comment, they can definitely read that. If you want to stay anonymous, you can choose to watch this after the hour, after it's saved, or you can choose to watch our YouTube link, which we send out in our email weekly. If you're not on our email list, please message us and let us know, and we can add you to that email list.
I'm tucking this back here so
Tuck
that
it
my
in.
earpiece doesn't keep falling out. I'm going to try not to fight it.
A few announcements. I
apologize.
know we have been talking about what it's going to look like. When are we going to get started back? And we have made some decisions. So this is what we can say for sure, that we're going to have one special service in the month of November. We're possibly going to have one special service in the month of December, but we're not going to get back to in-person until after the new year when we assess things. That's just the best that we can do right now to keep this going and to keep everybody safe. Rolling into flu season and some other things to make sure that all of our leaders also are going to be available and ready when we do start back in person. I will say, though, that we're getting some step studies rolling out, and so we're going to have a female step study starting back up after Thanksgiving. Then we're right after the new year going to start a men's and a women's step study, and then we'll have another few coming. We're going to keep those limited down to just 8 participants and 2 leaders. Obviously, social distancing is going to be required, masks during the whole time. But if you want to get into a step study and you want us to add you to our step study list, because it is going to it's going to fill up fast and be limited availability, please message us or email us and let us know. An email should be going out about that this week so that we can get the participants' names filled out and we can get those booked up.
Yeah.
We're excited about that. That's the first thing. We're just going to kind of roll into this a little bit slower. We know quite a few other Celebrate Recoveries that have started. We were excited to see that. And then we've seen some have to kind of take a step back or quarantine and then restart. And so we're trying to make the best decision for us to be able to keep this coming to you on Sunday nights online, and then also when we're ready to be back
Roll
in
it
person.
out and be in person, for sure. Yeah.
You should get that.
It's good. I was, just sitting over here. You guys, it's tough to make a call about what to do here. And we were looking at November and Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And I think you kind of said this, but I'm like, just with the holidays coming, we thought, man, do we get back together? And we don't know what the fall's going to really hold. And so many people are making these crazy predictions about, winter and how that's going to affect this virus and other things. So we just thought, man, just be as safe as we can. But we're not saying don't connect with people. Or don't be a part of recovery.
Absolutely.
We want you to know that you can be a part of recovery, that you don't need to isolate, and that you can still reach out to us and the other people on here. I mean, this is a community, and we are trying to find ways to connect and be more available, even though we can't be in person in large groups.
Remember, during the middle of the week, on Wednesdays, there's a gender-specific encouragement group for women that I run. That's Wednesday mornings at 8:30. On Thursdays, Chad says hi to the guys. I was going to say guys and Chad. It just came together.
Kind of mashed it together.
Yeah. So Chad says a little encouraging thing for the guys. And so if you want to be in either one of those, let us know. We'll include you in those. And that's the end of our announcements for this week.
Keep rolling forward.
Let's do the 12 steps.
You want to?
This is the part where Chad and I try to read a lot of words and keep our eye focused on the camera, not on the screen.
Up and down.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
So you want to start with step 1? Or
I'll start with step 1.
if you're at home, wherever you are, feel free to do what we normally do. I know some of the traditional things that we do in CR, I think, is what makes it nostalgic, or what I think we miss. It's the little things that we miss. So feel free, wherever you are, to read the scripture verse with us.
Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, and that our lives had become unmanageable. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out.
Romans 7:18. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
For it is God who works in you to will and act in order to fulfill his good purposes. Philippians 2:13. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Romans 12:1.
Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord.
Lamentations 3:40. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. James 5:16.
Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:10. Step 7. We humbly asked him to remove all our shortcomings. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9.
1:9. Not 19. I rubbed my eye right when I did it, and I saw a double 1 there.
You get one mulligan.
Mulligan?
Do-over.
Step 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Do to others as you would have them do to you.
Luke 6:31. Step 9. This is a long one. We make direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, and come and offer your gift. Luke 6:31.
You get a mulligan also.
Thank you.
I think that we had a participant whose cat's name was Mulligan. Somebody confirm that in my comments and let me know.
Okay, there you go.
Anyway, step 10. It's my turn, right?
I think so.
We continued to take a personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
So if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12. I almost messed up. Step 11. I'm the odd one.
I thought that was a prompt way to promptly admit that.
I'm trying to stay on top of that. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly. Colossians 3:16.
Step 12. Having had a spiritual experience as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all of our affairs.
Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you may also be tempted. Galatians 6:1. All right. Good job. I think we did pretty good there.
It does. It feels a little later because the whole fallback thing. So it's like, I feel like we're...
All right, we're wrapping up. See you guys. No, we can't end right now.
I think we had like a full moon, Halloween, a fallback. We have an election this week. This is going to be a doozy.
Somebody
which is why...
Oh, Bailey's saying hi. Never mind.
Bailey.
Lyndon's cat.
Lyndon's cat was
there you
named
go.
Mulligan. I thought so. Absolutely.
You get a free...
Reese's peanut butter cup from Avery's
Anything
house.
out of Avery's candy. You can come pick one. It's for you, Bailey.
She went
Good
in
job.
Nani's neighborhood and got a couple pieces of candy yesterday. It was a lot. Since there were like 11 kids in the whole neighborhood, they were just like dumping candy in. It was a really good time.
There were only 10 houses that had the light on, though. It was pretty rough, actually.
Yeah, I think it was not a...
At
any rate, it's going to be an interesting week, I think. And that's why later after worship, we're going to bring to you a talk about anxiety and how to help manage it. I think we all raise your hand if you think you need that this week.
Yeah,
Come on, Chad.
Okay.
It's okay. This is a safe place to admit it.
I think I'm
Go
in
ahead.
denial still. Okay, fine. Sometimes it feels pressured. Do you guys ever feel pressured by any of this? And I feel anxious now. I don't know if I feel good about this
all right,
whole thing.
we're going to cut it across town to Justin.
Not yet.
Oh, I
There's something we
apologize.
normally say before
The
we do that.
celebration chips. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You got it.
No.
I'll do it this week. I'll do it
Go.
this week. You just relax. You can sit back.
Okay,
Take
I'll
it
sit
easy.
back.
Just take
Okay,
it
I'm
easy.
gonna just sit back.
All right, y'all. We're excited. This is the part of our service where we celebrate where you are on your road to. You're laughing at me.
You're doing great.
You're laughing. I was trying to bring a little
You're
energy
doing great.
to it. This
Do
week.
it. Do it.
On your road to recovery. So if you've got 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, or 9 months, or even years or multiple years, we want to celebrate with you.
We
So
do.
you can put that in the comments, or you can message us privately if you'd like to do that. But we'd love to hear about it. If there's something that you're celebrating or something that's going really, really great with your recovery, we'd love to hear about that tonight. So we're going to kick it over to Justin at the Crosstown Band.
For a little bit of-
Crosstown Band. Crossed.
He is
That's
a
not T. He
crosstown.
is a crosstown, yeah. Anyway, kicking it to Justin,
For
and we
some
would love
worship.
to celebrate with you guys.
Worship with us.
Worship.
Once was lost, I walked away. The road was dark, I could not see. My hope was gone, the pain was real, but your mercy, you saw my steps, felt my fears, you heard my cry, caught my tears, arms open wide, you ran to me with your mercy, your mercy, your mercy. I stand before my King and bow my heart to sing. You saved me, you raised me, you died so I could live. No greater love than this, your mercy. You give me life beyond the grave. My deepest shame is cast away. Sing a song that covers me. It's your mercy. Your mercy, your mercy. I stand before my King and bow my heart to sing. You saved me, you raised me, you died so I could live. No greater love than this, your mercy, your mercy. Your loving kindness leads me to repentance. Your loving kindness leads me to repentance. Lord, let your kindness lead us to repentance. Lord, let your kindness lead us to repentance. Your mercy, your mercy. greater love than this, your mercy, your mercy. I stand before my King and bow my heart to sing. You saved me, you raised me, you died so I could live. No greater love than this, your mercy, your mercy. Lord, your mercy, your mercy. Your presence is all I am longing for, here in the secret place. Your nearness is all I am waiting for, here in the quiet place, here in the secret place. My soul waits for you alone, like the watchmen watch for dawn. Here I finally found a place where we'll meet, Lord, face to face. I finally found where I belong. I finally found where I belong. In your presence, I finally found where I belong. To be with you, be with you. I finally found where I belong. I finally found where I belong. In your presence, I finally found where I belong. It's to be with you. Your presence is all I am longing for, here in the secret place. Nearness is all I am waiting for, here in the quiet place, here in the secret place. My soul waits for you alone, like the watchmen watch for dawn. Here I finally found a place where we'll meet, Lord, face to face. I finally found where I belong. I finally found where I belong. In your presence, I finally found where I belong. It's to be with you, to be with you. I finally found where I belong. I finally found where I belong. In your presence, I finally found where I belong. It's to be with you. And I am my beloved's and he is mine. So come into your garden, take delight in me. Take delight in me. I am my beloved's and he is mine. So come into your garden, take delight in me. Take delight in me. Here in your presence, Lord, I find my rest. Here in your presence, God.
Excellent
Thanks so
job.
much, Justin. You always kill it, man. You do a great job. It's funny because like I've got the delay in my ear, so I still hear him singing and I'm talking over him. But I'm like, it's fun because it kind of brings that sweet like spirit to this, even this
Has
part of it.
A
So
little in front of the fireplace with
Yeah.
the lantern
Yep.
going feels like a good fall shot. Really
Yep.
appreciate the work you put into it. All right, let's tackle this topic. It's not my favorite topic, but I think answers to it are really important. And so
Yeah.
we're going to kind of jump into it. I was just thinking about, and I think even in the email that I sent out this week was just like a reminder that this week is there's going to be an
Interesting week. I mean-
week. Just the current events that are happening in our country. More people have turned out to the polls, especially the what do you call that? Pre-voting or whatever.
yeah, early
Voting. Couldn't think of the name of it.
Pre-voting.
Pre-voting. Maybe because of COVID, maybe because of controversy. Who knows?
I've never voted early,
I've never
and I voted early.
Yep, ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I wonder how many people are still gonna get out and vote. You know, I think people that care probably have almost all. Maybe a lot of them have already, but if you haven't, you should probably. So.
Either way, the way things are tracking, about half the country is going to be disappointed,
Yeah.
or the other half.
Well, that's the thing that stinks about
Yeah.
elections when they're. I mean, even
When
though,
they're close.
yeah. I mean, it's like,
It's like
golly.
a game that's really close.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
the game is final, and this determines the next 4 years of most of our lives.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's a little tricky, but I mean, I just the idea.
They're always pretty close.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway.
The idea
Sorry.
that people anticipate things, and even if it's just, I mean, Chad and I not necessarily going, what if this person wins and what if this person wins, not even thinking about what that person is going to do in office. What we have been discussing is what the people are going to do
Yeah.
When-
Other people,
when the person
not
gets,
us. Yeah.
when the person gets into office. How are the people going to respond? And
Yeah.
that's unpredictable. What are the comments going to be? That's unpredictable. What is social media going to look like? That's unpredictable. How is COVID going to roll out for the rest of the holiday season and into next year? Unpredictable. And so as we just kind of started talking about this, even us trying to really put a plan together to be in person or not, it was like, man, the last thing I want to do is say, let's meet in person, and then somebody we really care about gets sick. That it just would
Yeah.
be a bad deal. So it's a little bit of anxiety producing, trying to gauge everybody else's. Are they ready or not? The last thing I want to do is try to. I am a pusher, but I don't want to push somebody in a season where it feels a little bit too risky to push. And so, anyway, as we were discussing this, and I could just sense the conversations I was having were anxiety producing and concerning for
Yeah.
us as well. That I thought, let's talk about anxiety. We might have like early on, but it's like deep seated now.
Yeah.
Deep
It
seated
is.
anxiety. So
Yeah.
let's dive in. Let's tackle anxiety one step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think
The
when we
same
start
way.
thinking about anxiety, it's nasty, man, and I feel like, you know, I have where I work is it's a counseling center, so I think a lot of you know that, but like we were talking about like how if you don't have some level of anxiety about this, then there might be something going on with you.
If you're like, life's
Uh,
great, I'm not worried about anything.
No,
okay.
I mean, and not to say that we shouldn't put our hope and trust in Jesus, and we shouldn't be able to kind of step back and put some of those things away. But gosh, if you have any access to media or social media or any of the conversations that are
Yeah.
happening in the world, it's like there's a lot happening right now from COVID to social justice to
Yeah.
elections. I mean, there's so many things kind of going on that cause anxiety, that provoke
And I want to say
anxiety.
too, I mean, a
Yeah.
message that we teach all the time is being able to have joy in really hard circumstances, or being able to find peace when the things around us are out of our control. And so I hope that there's a lot of us Forever Family participants who have that peace, who have found that joy.
Yeah.
Yet there's still, it's important to have an awareness of what's going on around us. And so even in this talk, in my mind, I'm going to think about how many people I'm going to face who don't have that together, and who do have anxiety, and who are stressed out. So whether this directly applies to me or whether it's something that I can help somebody else out with, either way, I think it's a good talk to just be mindful of what might be motivating people to be a little on
Yeah.
edge,
Well,
more irritable. Less...
when you say anxiety, what do you mean?
It's a great question, Chad. Since you wanted to lead this talk out with the definition, I'm going to let you take it from
What?
here.
I put that up just as you were talking. It was perfect timing. No, but I was thinking, like, when we're talking about anxiety, what we mean is really just this kind of felt sense that things aren't okay, right? Like, there's this kind of like gnawing kind of pressure in your stomach or in your gut that kind of says we're in trouble, something's wrong, or at least that's how I experience it. And really, anxiety, there's lots of ways we could talk about, like how you experience it personally, but like really it's just a threat. It's a threat detection system in your body. That's really what it's linked to. It's saying, hey, there's a problem out there. There's a threat that could be coming towards us.
Be prepared for it.
And so be ready for it. Make yourself ready. And the funny thing about anxiety, maybe it's not so funny, is that it really does have access to all the brain chemicals, right? So it can drop a bunch of, adrenaline and epinephrine and do all these things and even cortisol that can
Dr.
cause...
Chad is using the fancy words.
They can cause your brain to kind of, or cause your body to feel like, hey, we are under attack.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, as I start to experience anxiety, my brain starts to let out some chemicals that kind of allows me to get ready to fight whatever the thing is out there in the world.
The manifestation of some of those chemicals are it's the flight, fight, or freeze response that happens sometimes. So
Sure.
if you
Could be that.
start to have anxiety,
Yep.
maybe your heart will race, or maybe you just get paralyzed and you're like, I can't make a decision, I don't know what to do. A lot of different bodies respond differently to this panic when they know something's going on.
Yeah.
I usually like to say anxiety for me is an acute awareness that I can't control the future. And so for me, what I've learned how to do is kind of just acknowledge it in my body, and we're about to get into kind of some points, and go, thank you, body, for letting me know something is coming. And now that you've let me know this, I recognize, we joke all the time about the check engine light in our car. That anxiety for me is the check engine light in the car. And so I'm like, thank you, check engine light, for letting me know that I need to diagnose what's going on in my car. And Chad has this little thing that you plug into the car and it'll give you a code. Sometimes I wish...
It's an OBD2 scanner.
You're welcome, RT. Sometimes I wish...
Justin knows too.
Justin too, yes.
Dana, I bet.
Okay.
There's several.
Alan, I bet. Yeah. And for any
Jonathan,
of the ladies
whoever,
who don't know, you do, get an Obi-Wan Kenobi scanner and you'll know too what the codes are. But the idea that we could possibly like plug into ourselves and go, hey, what is that? And so what Chad and I hope to do with you guys tonight is just to give you some steps that when you get hit with that, you can acknowledge what it is and go, wow, my body is sending me a signal that I can't control what's coming. But that doesn't mean we can't respond to it and be prepared for what's going to happen next.
I will tell you, I want to say one more thing.
Go.
I should have made more slides for
No,
myself.
you're going to want to say more than one more thing.
This is the last thing I'll say the rest of the night. No.
Promptly admit
the
that you're
worst
wrong.
thing I can do, right? Okay, I've got an analogy. It's going to take 2 minutes, but the worst thing I can do if I feel anxious, if I feel threatened, is try to pretend or fight it off, right? Try to pretend I'm not anxious, because your body does this thing where it's like, hey, that part of your brain, it's the amygdala, right? But it's the threat detection center. It's saying, hey, he's not listening to us. And I said a minute ago that it has access to all the chemicals, right? And it goes, well, we'll just turn the volume up, right? We'll just turn it up. Just maybe we'll go from 1 to 2.
This is when the crazy feels a little crazy.
And then, well, I can go to 8. I can go to 11 or whatever.
Let me also say to the partners of people who have anxiety, or the friends of, the sponsors of, it's also not a good idea if you want to help somebody with anxiety to be like, you should just calm down. It'll be fine. Because the same thing happens. Whether we're shut down from the outside or shut down from the inside, shut down meaning somebody is trying to say, don't feel what you feel. That is never going to solve.
I was just thinking about, like, if you're anxious, me telling you just to calm down, how would that go? I know better than that. I think most of the partners know better
just
than that.
Just calm down,
But,
Angela. You're getting a little
just chill out,
out of
man.
control.
It's not a big deal. You don't need to try. Or here's another bad move. You don't need to control all the things that your body is telling you to control.
I'm about to control a few things.
I'm in trouble, right? But it's like trying to tell the Secret Service if the president, whoever it's going to be, gets shot at. It's like trying to tell the Secret Service to calm down and it's going to be okay. They don't listen to that.
I don't think you're allowed
They
to talk
take
about
over.
that particular scenario.
Well,
even
that's
in a
not. We don't.
hypothetical online.
I think I'm allowed to say that. I'm not talking about. No one do that. But But the Secret Service, and like anxiety, is completely designed to take care of you no matter what you think or say.
Very much like if we could hypothetically say we had a Secret Service in our brain, it tries to go ahead of us and assess the scenarios that we're going to walk into to make sure they're safe. Whether it is next week at work, or whether it is Thanksgiving with your family, or whether it's the holiday season, or whether it's whatever it is that's coming, our body sends us a signal that says, hey, whatever's coming might be threatening to our security, our safety, our comfort, might cause us pain. And when we can pay attention to that alert, we can do something different. We can respond to it in a different way. But
Right.
Chad's absolutely right. If we're like, shush down, buddy,
Good luck with that.
I'll be fine. I've got this. Then we walk into a scenario and get blindsided by a conversation or by something that catches us off guard. And then our body definitely is like, see, next time we're going to be twice as prepared. And that's when the next time we have even more anxiety. It could be around, have you ever like played out a conversation in your head that hasn't happened yet, but how much you want to try to make it work out?
Yeah.
I have to confess something, you guys. Earlier, Chad went to the store for me, and I was trying to be really helpful, but I see now in hindsight that it wasn't.
You don't have to say all that. Come on.
I
that's
don't
all right.
because I drew him a map. I wanted to save his time.
She drew me a map for Walmart.
So I drew a little map on like, go in this store first, then start here and get these items, then go here and get these items, then go here and get these items. And that will be like that. You won't waste any of your time. It'll be efficient. You'll get back in a timely fashion. He just smiled at me.
I took a picture of it.
You're
maybe I'll post it.
I'm a
sometime.
good wife.
You are so helpful.
He said, you don't have to control my trip to Walmart. I've been there a few times.
I know where everything
I was
is.
just trying to be helpful. If he sent me to AutoZone, I would want a map.
No, you wouldn't. You would just ask the guy at the desk. That's probably. That's not the point, though. What we do want to say, and I'm gonna really and truly with anxiety, we want to say the worst thing we can do is try to ignore it or try to shut it down. Right? The best things we can do with it, we're going to talk about tonight and kind of discuss, like, how do we engage with anxiety? How do we engage with an election and COVID and all the things that are happening culturally? How do we really address this?
Let's dive in.
And dive into it. So let's keep moving.
We just have a couple of points.
Yeah.
Bullet points.
Just 9. This is 1.
No, not 9. Like 4, 5, 6.
It says 8 right there.
No, but 2 of them
Anyway.
we've already discussed.
All right, we'll keep going.
Okay, here's one.
I love you.
I didn't even like number them, so here is.
We're married, by the way, so if you don't
one.
know that, but
Who are you telling we're married? Who would be doing this if they weren't? I guess.
I don't know.
I guess lots of people
It'd be
might.
awkward.
I don't know.
Oh, let's keep going.
We do a Sunday night show in our home. But we're not married.
And maybe it's a recovery home. I don't know. Weird.
Okay, anyway, let's move forward.
It kind of is a
Stay.
recovery
The
home.
first thing, tackling anxiety. If you feel yourself starting to get anxious, stay present. A lot of times our anxiety is triggered by things that either we're replaying from the past, those things that have wounded us or hurt us in the past are the very markers in our body that our body is saying we want to avoid these in the future. And so a lot of times our anxiety can start to spiral or grow or escalate if we are thinking about the past, trying to control or replay something so that it goes different the next time, trying to control or predict the future. These are places that we can't change or control.
Yep.
What we can do is almost like we're going on a trip. We can be prepared. We can know something is coming. And so what we'll try to do is phone our accountability, pray through it, be prayed up, scriptured up, do things that you know are going to help, but we can't control, especially when there's other people involved, what it's going to look like in the future. And so if we can try to go, what do I need to do? Where am I today? I'll even say if I'm specifically working, like let's say in a session with somebody or working with somebody who has immediate anxiety, I'll even say like right now, we're in a room, what are you wearing? Describe your clothes, like there are grounding things that you can do that will try to help you kind of come back to right now.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a professor once talking about this and just saying, if you're having a panic attack or if you're having an acute anxiety, right? Like the best thing you can probably do is he said this jokingly, but he's like, well, pull the car over, like so get safe, right? Like let's be logistically
Don't
smart,
continue to drive,
right? But pull over to the side of the road and kind of just remind yourself, this doesn't kill me. I need to come back to the room, back to the moment, see if I can stay focused on what is in front of me and what is in my control.
Yeah.
Right? Like pull yourself back to this moment. The other thing that I think sometimes people try to do that really goes hand in hand with this, Angela, is to just try to avoid or numb out. I mean, a lot of people relapse due to anxiety.
Yeah.
When I worked in Decision Point, one of the biggest things that people would say they struggled with was anxiety because they had always coped with their anxiety by using
Yeah.
or drinking or doing some form of checking out. Sort of.
I don't like the
Right.
way this feels, and
Yeah.
I can't even control the way it feels. I can't control that. I can't control this. And so we resort to food, substance.
Yeah, we either try to control it and control everything externally, or we try to just not feel, so check out then completely. Yeah, which is
I have
right
found
on.
myself even this week feeling a little bit more lethargic and unmotivated. Like I'm just like, and I can feel that even my body going. That doesn't feel like anything is going to help change that, and so I have to kind of take extra measures that I know that help motivate me to go. Wait a minute, just do the next right thing. I mean, that is my mantra. If ever there was one, just do one more load of laundry. Just do this, and we're going to get through this day, and then the next day. And it was like 3 days later, and Chad's mom, Janie, who watches Avery, like came over and she was like, "Did you clean your house?" And I'm like, "I guess over the last 30 days, I have been, because I have felt just this kind of looming heaviness, and it's something that I can do." And then I'm like, "Oh, now I feel better. I'm sitting in a clean house," and those are kinds of the things that we can do, and we'll get to that's one of the bullet points. So
We'll
we're
keep
going to come
moving.
back to
This
that.
is
Let's
good
keep
though.
moving.
Yeah.
So the next one we say is try to specifically label what your anxiety is versus what it's not. And I say versus what it's not because you can rule out, okay, this isn't grief, this isn't trauma, maybe it is trauma, this isn't. I mean, I do feel like this has been a traumatic year for so many people, and now it's long term because it's just outside of the realm of what we can control. But trying to go, it's not. Sometimes if I have a racing heart, I'll be like, okay, I did get 2 extra shots at Starbucks this morning, so it could be that.
2 extra shots. Okay.
I mean,
Good.
sometimes
of coffee.
there are Starbucks. I think it's
It's straightforward. It's straightforward. Yeah.
It could just kind of ruling out some of the things it isn't helps you kind of go, what is happening for me? And then if I get down to the point and go, this is anxiety, I do start to feel like something's coming that's out of my control. For me, a tell is that my mind starts to get a little bit obsessive about it, where I just can't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
Even if I try to move on to another task or onto another project, my head will keep coming around to it. And so sometimes I have a little notepad and I'll just go and like write bullet points down of what I'm thinking, because then once it's down on paper, maybe it's an upcoming talk that I'm doing, or maybe it's a scheduling thing that I have to take care of. I know I have looked at a calendar so many times over the last 2 weeks trying to figure out when to meet in person, when to have step studies, and I just keep looking at it, that if I don't write it down, when I write it down, I can walk away from it. But if I don't write it down, it's like my brain is like, you're going to forget this. And then I start panicking. You're going to, like whatever that thing is. And so sometimes just tangibly going, okay, brain, I am acknowledging that you were warning me that that I might forget something, or that this isn't going to come together. So why don't, and I'll kind of talk to myself, which seems kind of like a crazy thing to do, but actually is really beneficial.
Yeah.
I'll be like, Angela, let's sit down with a calendar and sit down with a notepad and just jot some of this stuff down. Once it's down, my body takes a deep breath and goes, okay, here it is. Just like the last point was staying present. It's like right now in my present, this is the information that I have.
Which I want to say that, like, trying to specifically label what your anxiety is, that's a huge step.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge, if you can do that, and again, kind of, I deal with a lot of people who struggle with anxiety in my work, but I'm like, but if you can put words to what is my anxiety saying, right? You really have to start to what I would say is like befriend your anxiety. Like become a friend of, come alongside of this part of your brain that's saying we're not okay.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it just ramps up. And so if we can find ways to slow down and kind of know that, oh, this is anxiety, okay, that's familiar to me. I felt that before, right? And then almost asking it like, what are you? What are you telling me? right? Like, what are you trying to bring to my awareness, or what are you saying the threat is, right? And that's how you do that.
Yeah.
I think is if you're going to try to specifically label it, you're going to have to come alongside it and kind of like spend some time with this thing that's always been uncomfortable to be with.
It's a conversation I was having with someone the other day. I don't remember exactly who, but it was like the gas light that comes on, and I go, "Okay, thanks, car." Like, I would never be like, "Car, I'm mad at you that you told me that I'm out of gas." So the gas light came on. I'm grateful the gas light comes on because it doesn't. If it didn't, I would run out of
Yeah.
gas. But then when it does, I can go, "Oh, I can still go 10 or 15 more miles." Like, I know. And so sometimes I feel like that's what happens when our body signals us for some anxiety or some sort of panic, is that we'll go, "I got this, it's fine." And we start to ignore it. And as you know, if you're a car person at all, you shouldn't drive on an empty tank because apparently some debris gets in there. I think that happens with our anxiety.
Yeah.
That's what Chad tells me. I try to go all the way to the end with my anxiety and with my gas
It's that
tank.
Seinfeld episode when it's Kramer.
It's really, I don't remember.
He's like, "We're gonna keep going" at the end anyway.
But the idea, I think, there is to pay attention when the signal comes on and go, "Thank you, body." He's saying befriend it. Like, golly, I appreciate that you are warning me that there could be danger ahead. I
Yeah.
want to know if there is danger ahead so that I could be prepared and that I can respond well to it and it doesn't catch me off guard or cause me a lot of pain. That is what our body is trying to do.
Well, and if we've trained our anxiety, so to speak, that part of us,
Our body to respond to it, I
that
think.
we wouldn't respond to it.
Oh, I
It doesn't
see.
mean.
I
Well, I'm
see.
just saying, like, this is like we're trying to relearn something.
Yeah.
Just it's the whole all of recovery, right? It's one step at a time.
If
The first
we
step is to
ignored
say,
it, shut it down,
Yeah.
didn't.
the first step is to say, "Hey, I'm going to come alongside you. Thank you for telling me something's going on. I'm not so good at this, but I do want to know what you have to say."
Yeah.
Now, that's the funny thing about our body, our anxiety. It's brilliant on one hand because it keeps you alive. It keeps us alive. We don't die,
Yeah.
right? But on the other hand, sometimes it tells you like, "Bah, there's a threat," and really it's just there's no threat, right? So we want to listen to it
yeah.
and hear it,
Proceed with caution.
and like you said, Angela, have that conversation with ourselves. Say, "Hey, I hear you. I think, okay, so you're telling me X, Y, Z is true, and I know it's not, or I realize that is a threat, but I
Yeah.
can't do anything about the future," right? So then having a conversation with that part of your gut, your body, your heart, whatever you want to call that, but having that conversation allows you to kind of move forward.
Go to the next slide
Okay.
because you just kind of mentioned it. You
Sorry.
were like, XYZ is true or not
Yeah.
true. Try to acknowledge what is the truth and what is not the truth.
Yeah.
And I saw this online. I like that. Fact check your thoughts. That's not my original term there. It was
You
on,
made that up. Original
I didn't.
hashtag.
No,
Copyright.
I stole it from the interweb. Fact check your thoughts. Like, when your brain starts spiraling out of control, when your anxiety starts to build, a lot of times our body and brains build a case on hypotheticals.
Yeah.
I used to joke. So there was a phrase that said, "My anxiety works because 99% of the stuff I worry about doesn't end up happening."
Yeah.
So it's like, yes,
What?
because I was worried about it. That's why
That's why it didn't happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it.
And I think about this idea that we spend so much time and energy on a conversation that's never going to play out the way we've hypothetically laid it out, or a situation that's never going to play out the way we've hypothetically played it out. I was joking with somebody the other day that Chad and I have kind of been talking about worst case scenario stuff in the future and the way that they've talked about this political stuff. And we have some property and we have some ditches in front of the property. And I'm like, if we ever need to protect ourselves, we'll plug up the ditches and get alligators. Like, my solution was to build a moat around our place and put alligators. Listen, the conversation got out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're never going to have alligators in our ditches. I can almost assure
We might, but it won't be on purpose.
No, it won't be in Arkansas either.
You never know. You never know. I'm ready though.
Things have gone really, really bad if we have alligators in our ditches. My
But-
parents might, though.
Yeah, well, they do.
They do have
Yeah.
alligators in their ditches
I
where
mean-
they are. They're right on the bayou.
But you're right though. It's like, but once we fact check it, we don't want to be like, I don't want you guys to beat yourself up for being anxious. That doesn't work. That's your friend. That is your body's attempt to go, hey, I want to keep you alive.
Yeah.
Or that part of your brain. it's saying, hey, you're not okay. And then like what we want to do is go, okay, I hear you. And when I look at the facts here, that really kind of doesn't line up. But I am thinking about that. I do acknowledge that. I do see that.
Even the conversation that he and I have, all the bullet points we've already said, try to stay in the present. We were so far into the crazy future that we had blockaded our drive, clogged our ditches, and gotten alligators. Like if we're gonna fact check our thoughts,
I don't know if we were doing that.
we were kind of doing it in a joking way. But let's say it wasn't joking, and we were like preppers or freaking out or whatever. We do spend time and energy thinking about things in the future. We're not staying present. We're not dealing with reality. We start really dealing with these hypothetical things that.
We've all, you know what? Take it. You know what? What people really get stressed out about is if they think they won't be able to wipe their bottom with toilet paper. Everybody prepped for that, didn't they? Anyway, I'm just saying, what was that?
Panic.
That's anxiety.
Panicked. People
Yeah.
were like, what are we going to do if we don't have toilet paper?
And then we get a little herd mentality going, and then all of a sudden we're all chasing stuff.
It's interesting to me that was the commodity that was the most important one. Of all of them.
I don't know, man. I mean, don't they have those bidet things you can hook on your toilet too, though?
We've digressed.
I gotta get one of those.
Let's go on to the next point.
Let's keep moving.
We got a water hose. This is Arkansas.
Water hose.
Just bring it into the bathroom
Shower
window.
curtain or something. We got a shower in there.
Do something active. Go for a walk, a run, a phone
bad.
call, do a house chore. This is in the moment. Like Chad said earlier, if somebody's having a panic attack. Is that the cat back there?
Probably.
If somebody is having a panic attack or in the moment you can feel that your anxiety has gotten the best of you, a really good thing to do, not saying to dismiss or shut down, but sometimes getting what I've done a talk called the circle talk, which is like what God has called us to, what we're responsible for. And there are things that I'm responsible for. I'm responsible to take care of my house, to take care of my vehicle, to take care of myself, to feed my child, there are things that I am responsible for.
I wasn't like saying, yeah, you're responsible for the kid. That came out at the wrong time.
And so a lot of times when we get sidetracked or hijacked by these emotions, we lose sight of the things we're supposed to be doing and we're supposed to be responsible for. A great way to get me back on task and back into the space where I actually have some responsibility and can manage something is if I do something that I'm responsible for. So I'm saying a walk or a run, that's something that is good self-care. A phone call to a friend asking for help, accountability, connects me with another person. A house chore, something that I know there will be a positive benefit. I know for a long time when I was dealing with a lot of my stuff from the past that was really hard, the outcome of my divorce, the outcome of my charges, there were times when I did not and could not control the outcome. And I felt for me that something creative was good. So I sat down to the piano or sat down with a guitar and I wrote songs. And at the end of it, I had produced something creative. And that was really healthy for me.
Cathartic even.
That's another one if you want to jump.
Well, no,
no, that's number 8 actually.
We can keep moving.
Unless you want to talk about this one.
Well, that's great. I just would say my biggest point here is don't avoid. If you can help from avoiding your anxiety, like don't just burn the chemical off, right? First you have to engage and befriend that thing, that anxious feeling, and say, what are you telling me? Now it may be that your anxiety is so trained that you don't have a lot of moves for it, and it's already released or dumped a bunch of these chemicals. And so it's like, I hear you, and if we kind of work through those steps that we've laid out, I don't have a lot that I can do about it. There isn't a move that I have. It might even be truth, but it's not something I can control right now. And so you know what, I'm going to go run, or I'm going to go clean the house, or I'm going to focus this energy in a healthy place.
And I want to just say that acknowledgement is, some of these are the things that I do to help me with my anxiety. I will say, since I can't control what I have acknowledged, I am going to step into a space where I do have control over something, and that's the shift for me. It's not that I'm avoiding it or dismissing it. It's that I have acknowledged it, labeled it, recognized that it's unmanageable or I can't control it, invited God into it, and now I'm going to do something that I do have control over.
Yeah, and the goal here is not to get rid of anxiety.
Yeah.
It's to know anxiety. It's to be able to recognize it, feel it, sense it when it's a 3, and engage with it quickly and
Yeah.
say, hey, what are you telling me? What's going on here?
And not let it
Versus letting
hijack.
it become a 10 or 11 or whatever, and take over your entire being, so to speak, because it can.
Yeah.
It can drag you out of a room or out of a relationship or out of an opportunity even. So
Okay, let's do the
let's
next
do it
two
quick.
because we
I'm
got to
sorry.
wrap up.
Yep.
So the next one, avoid the physiological triggers that also, like I said earlier, I'll rule out: have I had too much caffeine? Have I had too much sugar? Sometimes if I have sugar right before I go to bed, it gets my body like.
I'll say quickly about this too. You know, yes, the sugar, yes, the cat, but it's like we don't have to do that forever. But when you're first trying to really befriend or come alongside your own body and kind of like make sense of what you do with anxiety, it's just like recovery. Sometimes we don't go to that party or we don't go to that place because we're not in a place where we can handle that.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar to this. Maybe we cut back or control or limit the intake of sugar or caffeine or other stimulants, even some
I put their other known
medicines.
anxiety producing things. And so something like there was a friend I was walking through who had night terrors, and I'd be like, don't watch scary movies, period, but especially not late at night. Just don't do it. You're going to lay in bed wide awake, panicked about the dark.
That doesn't sound like it's a genius. Like somebody should have said that.
I did.
Good job.
You're welcome.
Good job. I mean, I'm just saying.
But then don't, like, if you know scrolling through social media causes anxiety or causes you to start comparing or get depressed, or if you know watching certain content in the news or in the television or movies or whatever, if you know there are things that are going to produce anxiety, avoid those things. I'm not saying avoid.
It's right on. No, you're right on. I completely agree with you. And what you're saying about
I'm
all
not
of
saying
that.
avoid the emotion once you have it, but if you do know, if you
Yes.
start to know
Yes.
what causes it, then you can be careful to not expose yourself to something that is going to create that all the time.
I 100%.
Okay.
And I 100% agree with that.
I've lost my paper,
it's
so
all
you
right.
got
We
to show
only
me
have
what the
one
last
more,
one is. Okay,
but
go.
We'll go to it.
Spend time on things that calm you and bring you joy. Have a list ready. Know what
works.
Know what works
helps
for you.
Yep.
A part of my story is that I know that if I do a load of laundry and go for a jog, I'm going to feel better at the end of it. I know that if I eat healthier, I'm going to be less down on myself. I know that if I spend time in the Word and if I process my emotions with chat or with my safe others, that I'm not going to feel so overwhelmed by them. And so in your mind, ask yourself, when am I calm? When do I have joy? When can I acknowledge the good with a thankful heart, with gratitude? And try to keep those things within reach. So when things start getting overstimulating, out of control, when that anxiety flares up, you can go, wait a minute, I know these are my go-tos. They can kind of keep that balanced and keep it in check. Anxiety comes when we spend too much time focusing on what we can't manage. And so there is a certain part that we own in our recovery when we can start making choices that are actually good for our brain, good for our soul, good for our body, good for our relationships. And that's really what we want to encourage you to do.
We could talk about this for another 20 minutes.
We
you know,
could.
and
But
Angela, I love that you brought this up, that she came up with this and had this talk put together. And I think that it's pertinent and important for this moment. And just kind of remind you guys, hey, you know what, befriend this, may come alongside your experience, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that anxiety is always right, but it always needs to be heard. So we have to ask that question. What are you saying? You know, I want to hear you. Help me make sense of it. Is this true? Is it not true? You know, sometimes it's based in history or things that have happened to us in the past, but if it's not true today, then we have to say, okay, well, what can I do, right? And a lot of times that does mean, well, I can go for a run, or I can do the laundry, or I can, you know, what is a list of things that really do calm me? And I'll tell you what, you want to really impact your anxiety and really kind of change it in a moment of peace. Ask yourself, is there anything that I should be worried? Is there something? A lot of times we avoid it so much that we don't engage it. So if you start to engage your own process, your own, really what we're talking about is the emotional or limbic system, but I'm like, if you start to engage that, your body appreciates it. Your gut, your reactive system, right? It starts to go, hey, this guy's listening.
It stops panicking as much because your body goes, oh, my person has got
The rest of me
has
gets
got a
it.
handle
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
My person is living a healthy life. I can trust my person to manage the life I am in. And if my person is an avoidant person who isn't, then my body is going to be like, hey, person. I know that sounds
Yeah.
like a weird way to acknowledge that, but seriously, there is a relationship between us and our emotions. And you know us. We love to say, get to know it. Okay, we've got to wrap
gotta
up
do
this
it,
talk
man.
and kick back
That's
over.
it.
Maybe you're in a spot where you're starting to kind of dread what's coming this next week and you don't know how it's going to go and you're having anxiety. I hope that just in as I've kind of been thinking about this week, I feel like this is kind of close to the pulse of the people who I care about. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it to the forefront. So maybe you're the person going, this has been a talk for me. This has been something that I need to pay attention and start to maybe consider doing something different when my body starts to alert me that things are out of my control. And so if that's you and you want to take a blue chip, feel free to post it in the comments. We will try to acknowledge it and try to give you a little shout out. We can even try to, if you're local, mail you one. So please let us know if that's you. We'd love to celebrate with you. That's the Celebrate part of our Celebrate Recovery. Let's kick it over to Justin for one final song before we wrap up.
It's great.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, when I don't belong. Oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, when I don't belong. Oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Oh, you say I am loved, and I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, when I don't belong. you say of me. I believe, yes, I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I believe.
Man, thanks, Justin. Appreciate you, man.
Excellent job. We're
Yep.
out of time, so let's kick it over to some familiar faces. I would like to just kind of give a shout out to Scott and Barb, who run the Celebrate Recovery in Branson. They were part of our CR, went through ours, and then when they moved to Branson, they launched the Celebrate Recovery, and they're coming up on their 4 or 5 year. I need to find
That's
out which
a
one
while.
it is. Anniversary.
Yep.
And I'll be heading up there in a couple of weeks to give my testimony for their anniversary night, and so just kind of excited for them. So please read
Scott
the
and Barb,
Serenity
such sweet people, man.
prayer with
Miss you
them.
guys. Yep. We'll transition.
Hi, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and the Lord's helped me in dealing with guilt and perfectionism, and my name is Scott.
And I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I celebrate recovery in the area of self-image and still struggle with some broken family relationships, and my name is Barb. Please join us as we read the Serenity Prayer.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace,
Taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it.
trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will,
So that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
Thank you
Oh,
guys
it's good to see
so
them.
much, Scott and
Yeah,
Barb.
for
we love
sure.
and miss you. I look forward to seeing you again really soon.
Man, we're almost exactly on time, so I guess we should wrap up.
We should.
You guys
See you
have a great
guys
night.
Next Sunday.
Don't let anxiety run your life. Go engage with it. You can do this.
We believe
Y'all
in you.
have a blessed week. Look forward to seeing you soon.